Hello, people. It's your boy Osman back again with another Rival Fan podcast. It's been a minute. A lot has happened. I've actually got my account back after 2 months, which is a madness in itself. But that aside, is actually the 100th episode of Rival Fan podcast. I'm not going to lie, I actually didn't even know it was 100th episode until I checked it, which says everything you need to know about how long it's been. But obviously, shout out to all the regulars. Obviously, shout out to all the mandem. For always supporting the channel, that kind of stuff. I'm going to try and post as much as I can. But sadly, I got other commitments at the moment. But anyways, let's not waffle. Let's get into it. We've got a lot to discuss. As always, get your comments and snap a like, subscribe to the channel. The whole Mandem is here representing Spurs. We got Kish and Pat in the building. Boys, how you doing?
Yeah, it's good to be back, man. It's been a while since we did the last one of these, and a lot of things have changed for a lot of the Mandem and their supporting teams. So, yeah, it'll be a good show.
Yes. Pat, what about yourself, man? How you feeling, my guy?
Yeah. I'm good. Obviously, I've been better regarding football, but it's all right. We're still here. We're still repping. It's all good. So, yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to today's stream. It'll be good.
Love that. Absolute pleasure. Fair play to you. You got the Spurs kit on, man. Obviously, some people, they went into hiding. But Pat, you said you're gonna come on. You stuck to your word. We have also got Raiyaan in the building representing Liverpool. Obviously, it's hard to get a hold of Liverpool fans, but I always can rely on you, bro. How you doing, my guy?
Yeah, good, man. Cheers for inviting me on. It's been a rough couple of days, but it should be a good stream, man. It should be all right, man. But big up for inviting me on, bro.
Some of us can't relate to that, I know. But one of the people that can't relate to that. Oh, mate, I've never known Arsenal fans so happy. You know what? Fair play to you, GK. Look, I'm just going to give the floor to you. How are you feeling, bro? How are you feeling?
You know what? I'm feeling great. as I'm sure you can imagine. I'm just reminiscing, on the earlier season cast that we did, and just all the talk for what it was, and sitting pretty, man. I've exceeded even my own expectations so far this season. Okay, we had a bit of a blip this weekend, our first draw in 27 games, but listen, we're still top. We go into the next game, brimming with confidence. So I can't complain at all.
Listen, we'll get into that obviously in a bit more detail very shortly. And last but not least, a good evening to the man who's making his debut on the Rival Fan podcast. Dom is in the building, and of course, if you don't know that reference, he's representing Aston Villa. Dom, how are you feeling, my guy?
I like worse, bro. I can't lie. It's been a bit of a whirlwind few days, obviously, with Gerrard going, and then us just battering Brentford. No, we've got United in charge. Who knows what's coming next? But I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling optimistic, and I'm having a great time. I can't lie.
No worries.
I think everyone's been announced,
Your headphones is a lot of friction. I don't know if it's the same for anyone else, but
it was.
I don't know if you can. Yeah, a lot of stuff. I don't know if you can do it without obviously the headphones. Obviously, what going. But anyways, listen. Let's just get straight into it. Obviously, we got a comment here as well. This Liverpool team reminded me of Arsene Wenger's era. Obviously, I've seen a lot of people speak about that. But listen, Raiyaan, we're going to start with you. Shout out to Shahid, always evening gents, and obviously United Way. Get your questions in. There's a lot to discuss. I'm going to just drop the bombshell, Raiyaan. I know what. Should I let you drop it? Raiyaan, chat to me. Liverpool, what are your thoughts on the manager? What are your thoughts?
Nah, I mean, look, I'm not the only one in it. I'm not the only one, but I think it hurts to say it, bro. Like, it legit hurts to say it. Like, when I first tweeted it out a couple of weeks ago, I was like, nah, it actually paid me to do it. But, bro, I think his time should be up, to be honest. And it sounds crazy to say it, but, bro, like, he's to blame for a lot of what's going on. For this situation, he's to blame for a lot more than what people are, like, saying. And, like, you're hearing excuses for him, FSG and all this stuff. He's not being backed enough. I get over the previous years, he's not maybe been backed as he should have in transfer windows, but this summer was on him. He had more funds to spend than what people are making out this summer, and he was to blame for this window and a lot to blame for the situation we're in right now. I mean, where do I start with him? His loyalty and sentiment to players is what the biggest issue is, in my opinion, because that's caused like a domino of effects to happen after that in a way. You know, it starts with, you know, being loyal to the likes of James Milner, Jordan Henderson, people like that who are just not good enough for this club. And, you know, that's causing us not to get a midfielder in the summer. That was down to Jurgen Klopp. And then you're seeing these guys who should not be playing for the club getting game time. It's just ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. His in-game management this season has been an absolute joke. Like, it's worrying how bad it's been. Is, you know, tactically he's been awful. He's stubborn as well. Like, people are saying all this injury stuff, like, oh, he's been unlucky with injuries and all this. Bro, it's down to him for the injuries, because if you're persisting with playing an intense style of football with old and injury-prone players who are burnt out anyway, obviously that's going to result in an injury crisis. Why are you so surprised that it has? Do you get what I mean? Like, that's on him. That's on his stubbornness to not change that, in my opinion. And he's not going to. That's the thing, because I don't think he's ever coached a different kind of style of play in terms of like a more sustainable and less intense style of play. That's kind of all he knows. So he's not going to change as well. And that's why I don't see things getting better, man. Like, I just don't see things getting better. We're not going to get top four. You know, we're going to be in Europa League next season probably. So, bro, things are just going to get worse, man. And I don't think he can improve things now because, yeah, like I said, I just don't see how he does. Yeah.
Right. So starting off with the basically the biggest topic, really, Klopp in or Klopp out. Obviously, Raiyaan quite clearly is Klopp out. Listen, I'm just gonna quickly throw my 2 cents and I'm just gonna leave it to whoever wants it. Some of the points he made are definitely valid. I do think he deserves a lot of criticism for some of the decisions. Someone said obviously he picks. I don't understand the Milner one, to be honest. When he comes on for Simicast.
Bro, can I elaborate on that? You made a good point, because with the Milner thing, it is literally like people are like, there are two things with Jurgen Klopp this summer with the midfielder situation. One case, he didn't want one and didn't feel he needed one until the last week of the transfer window, when he came out in that interview and said, "Nah, you were right. You were all right. I was wrong. We need a midfielder. We're looking for one now." That's just sheer incompetence that you left it to that late. Or if that's not true, and he did want a top-class midfielder in the summer, which he did want Tchouaméni earlier on the summer, but he went to Madrid. Fair enough, that happens in it. That's down to the player.
You tried to get too many, yeah. So I would say that you wanted a midfielder throughout the whole window, really. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I think he wanted a midfielder, and I can't blame him for not getting Tchouaméni because he chose Madrid at the end of the day. Anyway, it happens. But like, you go to FSG, right? And this is down to Klopp now, and say, I want a top midfielder now. I want to spend this amount of money. He's going to cost this amount of money, whoever it was, probably Bellingham in it. But like, FSG, obviously they're to blame as well. They could have just said to Klopp, well, you've already got 8 midfielders at this football club. Why should I give you money, this much money to spend on another one, a 9th midfielder, a lot of money to spend on a 9th? But he could have easily got rid of 2 midfielders at least. Milner was out of contract. It was presumed he was just going to be let go. But who decided to give him a contract extension? Jurgen Klopp. Early in the transfer window as well. It was him who gave him the contract extension when he didn't need to. Curtis Jones as well, not good enough for this football club. Yet Klopp still believes that he can come through and break through. You know, it's ridiculous.
Who else will be playing right now?
Pardon?
Who else will be playing right now, though? If you don't give Milner a contract extension and you don't keep Curtis Jones around, who plays against Nottingham Forest? Another 21 player.
Yeah, Dom, your mic.
Yeah, your mic is a bit wild.
Is it that bad? Sorry.
Yeah, just pull it out, and then obviously just do without the mic, I think, because it might be better. That's basically why I'm doing. My mic's bugged. But listen, let's just open the floor up. Obviously, Pat, we'll come to you first and foremost. I suppose your club's kind of in a similar situation. A lot of people, some fans are questioning the manager, some fans are. Maybe it's not so much as this, but where do you sit on the whole Klopp thing? Is he to blame, or do you think he's been a bit unlucky with injuries or the factors that have come into play?
It's a tough one. I think, yeah, Klopp, obviously the manager, it does fall with the manager ultimately. And when things don't go the club's way, the manager is the one that falls on the sword. So yeah, Klopp has to take a lot of pelters right now. He's getting things wrong. The whole thing of strengthening the summer and getting a good midfielder in, definitely Liverpool should have been all over that. A club in their position, who essentially won 2 trophies last year and are one of the best clubs in Europe, they could have went out and got a world-class midfielder. There's no doubt about it. They could have attracted whoever they wanted to if they put the money up. They didn't. Klopp was stubborn, stood by his guns, and then only at the last minute he turned around and said, "You know what, you guys are right. We do need a top midfielder." And by then it was kind of too late. A lot of clubs have already started doing their business and had already got the wheels in motion, and Liverpool kind of got left behind. I didn't expect Liverpool to be where they are right now. It's a tough one because when I look at the teams, in the top 6, top 4, there's some good teams in there. I still expect Liverpool to finish in the top 4. People might say I'm crazy, but Liverpool have tried and tested. They've been there, they've done that. So I can still see this team going on a run where you got a team, say for example, like Newcastle, where I don't believe that they're going to finish in the top 4, let alone even the top 6. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence with them. Obviously, if this continues, then yeah, it's going to get a bit crazy to get back into the top 4. But right now, I wouldn't write them off. I don't know. It's hard because I'm not a Liverpool fan, so obviously I don't feel it the way they do. But when I look at it, yeah, things aren't great, but they can definitely get better, and I think they will get better for Liverpool. So I don't know. I'm in two minds about it.
I'll tell you what, yeah. If you don't mind, I'll me going next, right? But a lot of people say this, right? There are hallmark similarities between Arsene Wenger and Jurgen Klopp, like their mentality, the way they cultivate young players, the way they cultivate players, rather than kind of going to market and buying big names.
Yes,
Ray
as well for the owners as well.
Ray talked about the intense training methods during the summer. If you notice, Arsenal between September and like December, we always would have injury crisis for the same reason, because of the intensity of the level that we play at in terms of the passing patterns, the passing and the moving. There wasn't as much around sort of pressing and box pressing, like the Gagan style has brought in. But it still was physically very intense for that time, for that period. Like, Arsenal, were known, Wenger sort of brought in dietitians, sports psychiatrists, all of this. So there was a lot of intensity there that led to a lot of injury problems. But the hallmark that I'm talking about here is the stubbornness and the downfall of Arsenal, because we did fall down. I've never ever denied that, was invariably very similar. And this is a warning to you, man, like, because he put his trust in players that, frankly, their best time had gone, or it had never been there to the extent that he saw it. And he fell on his sword for players, but not only that, he fell on his sword for the Kroenkes. When these guys were hamstringing him, in terms of going to the market to invest in players, he wasn't vocalizing that enough to the media. Because Arteta, at the end of last season, when we bottled top 4 to these, Arteta vocalized the fact that this squad needed investment. He vocalized it. He was very clear. He was like, listen, this squad, if we are to compete and challenge with the likes of all of you, it needs investment. Arteta laid down his marker, to these Kroenkes, to be like, under no uncertain terms am I going to fall under the bus again because of your shortcomings in the market we didn't invest in January. So what I will say to Liverpool fans is the lessons are there from us. We've all these mistakes you're making right now, we made them. And if you look at it, we're only really showing signs of recovery from these mistakes now, a decade later. Like, I'll be real, like, a lot of what I'm seeing right now feels like what I was seeing then. Because Klopp, I do feel that Klopp didn't really vocalize. He doesn't really vocalize the constraints that working to FSG's model puts him under. He's very like, my dad would always say, don't air your dirty laundry on the washing line. He's of that kind of mindset. Do you know what I mean? Where he's like, he doesn't want people knowing it. He doesn't want the world knowing Liverpool's woes. But sometimes when you go nuclear and you put that stuff out in the open, it puts the vested, interested parties under extreme pressure to do something about it. And I think Klopp really missed the trick there. That's what he has to take responsibility for. But the constraints that were there in the first place, that's all FSG for me. I think it's rash to say to get rid of Klopp. And I'll say why. If you look at what Klopp's strengths are, if you look at like the build at Mainz, the rebuild at Dortmund, and with you lot, his strength literally is rebuilding squads, like from the ground up.
He's not shown that he can rebuild. Do you get what I mean? Like, he's shown he can build from the ground up, which is what he did at Mainz, Dortmund, and does. But he's not shown that he can rebuild that kind of team that's finished now, because it didn't end well at Dortmund. It didn't end well at Mainz. And right now it's not going great either. And now it's looking like, he's not exactly started off this rebuild well at the end of the day. It's clear that this team has peaked and is on the decline. And he's not exactly helping things. I mean, with him, I do agree over the years, FSG has been the biggest problem. And of course, it's still a problem. FSG have to take massive blame for this as well, of course. But for this past window, Klopp has to take a lot of blame for that as well. It's because, like I said, he gave James Milner a new contract when he didn't need to. He's kept Curtis Jones when he didn't need to. He's kept. If he'd have got rid of those two players, what that does is, you don't get a lot of money for them, but it opens up space in the squad. Like I said, if Klopp goes to FSG and says, "Oh, I want you to spend this much on this midfielder," for example, they could just say, "Why should we?" When you've got 8 midfielders already at the club, do you get what I mean? You've already got a bunch of midfielders there. You get what I mean? So this is why I think Klopp has to take massive criticism for the window just gone as well. Right.
Well, I was gonna ask you. Obviously we're blaming Klopp for certain aspects. For me personally, right? Obviously you got to look at Klopp for certain aspects. Obviously the system change. I think Nunes has affected a lot of Salah, for example. I think Salah is somewhat not benefiting from the system change.
I mean,
he had to change. He had to change the system to accommodate Nunes and the way he wants to play. Obviously, you had Mane there that offered you a completely different, outlay. Obviously, you've had injuries, etc. But what I want to ask you, Kish, is some of the players, right? For me personally, Van Dijk and Trent in particular, and Robertson actually. I want to throw Robertson in as well.
Robertson's been off form for ages.
I know, but them in particular are meant to be like these world-class players.
Yeah,
Liverpool fans lauding them, saying they're the best in their position. Apparently, Van Dijk's better than Rio, Vidic, Maldini, Nesta, Ramos. You name anyone, Van Dijk's better than all of them. Do you not feel like a lot of these players?
I think that's the one thing I'd like to add to this is. I get what all of you said, and look, it's a combination of the manager, FSG, and the squad. But I think the one thing missing is the squad. I mean, you've got to understand this is the same squad that was 2 games away from the quadruple last season. Exactly. So regardless of what you're going to say and what's going to happen, it's still the same team. And I think that's where the players have kind of put Klopp under the bus. I'm not going to lie. Yes, he could have signed a midfielder of better quality than what he has. But if you actually base it to the bare bones of it, Henderson, I know he divides a huge amount of opinion. I don't rate him personally, and I know a lot of Liverpool fans do. But it was only 2 seasons ago when Liverpool won the league, when he was getting absolutely paraded and voted by every single Liverpool fan to be PFA Player of the Year.
I never even rated him then.
No, but that's what I'm saying. No, but what I'm saying though is the fan attraction of him was there. And if you're relying on Thiago alone to pull strings in midfield, when you know that you signed an injury-prone player, then you've put yourself in that position. So a lot of the blame, yes, goes to Klopp, but you've got to look at the players. Trent, we already know his defensive inabilities, but even his attacking abilities.
He's not been. His attacking's been as bad as his defending this season.
He came out with a tweet at the beginning of the season when
Darwin, how may I assist
him yet once? He's not even made a single assist from what I believe. I think he scored a goal.
I think Bournemouth is stat padded a bit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And then with Van Dijk, the issue is with Van Dijk is everything comes so natural and so easy to him that he looks like he never breaks a sweat. And when you have a yard or two off pace, you actually need to put in that extra 5-10%. And it seems to me like because he thinks that his brain is still ahead of time, that he feels like he doesn't have to run those extra 5-10 meters to get ahead of the opposition attackers. And the amount of times, I mean, the first game of the season against Mitrovic, that's poor by Van Dijk. That's not the Van Dijk what we're used to, and that's just one example that I can remember. But there's loads.
He's been terrible. The thing is that loss of pace is a combination of 2 things as well: not being the same from injury and the natural aging process.
Yeah,
and so it's like both of those things are happening simultaneously. You know, like,
I don't think
like last season, I think
he was fantastic.
Yeah,
but
I think he was really good last season.
I think it's more laziness. A lot of people say that Van Dijk is like a Mercedes type of player, where he's that
Rolls Royce kind of player.
He's that luxury Rolls Royce player, right? But that luxury player also needs to put in the shift. If he knows that his whole team at the moment aren't playing well, then he can't be kind of lackadaisical like the rest of the players, because Robertson's not on form, because Matip has been injured, because Fabinho's not been on form, because Trent is defensively already poor, but now because every single poor performance Trent makes is aligned on the newspapers, on Twitter, everything. Modern day footballers see this more than whatever they did 20 years ago, right? And with Van Dijk, he's getting sucked into that, and the rest of them are struggling within that as well. With the likes of Carvalho and Elliot for me is impressed. I'll be honest. Like he looks like he has potential. But
he's good. I do think our fans overrate him, but he's a good player.
There's too much reliance on them. There's too much reliance. He's
I
so
don't see him as an 8 yet. I see him being an
8.
Yeah, after the 60th minute, he takes off Carvalho for Elliot, and then Elliot for Carvalho. It's just too predictable. Now with the Mane situation, look. Let's be honest. If you as a manager had to choose to pay a big contract to one of the players, either Salah or Mane, because they're both in the 30 years of age, right? You pick Salah. I don't care what people say. That is the guy that's got you the golden boot every season. Has got you the goals. Yes, Mane probably works harder, but in terms of general output and as an attacker, it is more so about output. Like you've got to admit that. Right?
People forget. Can I just
You've got to say he made the right decision. So, and yes, you're right. With Núñez, Salah has had to adapt because at Liverpool, they've not had an out-and-out striker since before Firmino. I think
Suarez.
You might have to, Suarez. You might have to go back to Suarez and Sturridge, which was the last time they had an out-and-out striker. So, yes, he's had to adapt. But even with Núñez, it was never going to be an easy season for him because I just think that coming from another league, from the Portuguese league, I think it was, that it takes time to adapt. So I still think that there's enough quality in Núñez that next season or the season after you'll see. But in terms of for the time being, although you can blame the management, the players, there's too many players, Osman. It's not even one. It's literally 6, 7.
I think you make a lot of good points, bro.
Kish, we're gonna move on from Liverpool, and I think you kind of segue me perfectly into Spurs.
Can I just make some points, bro? Like, because
Raiyaan, I would love to hear your points. Just me, I'd love to slag off Liverpool all night, but we have to cover all of the teams as well. Let's move on to Tottenham Hotspur. Trust me, I do a separate show on Liverpool every day of the week. They're great. Their fall is beautiful, man. I'm enjoying it. But listen, let's talk about Tottenham. Dom, we'll come to you first, then we'll come to you, Pat, because hopefully Dom's mic's working. So Dom, first and foremost, what are your thoughts on Tottenham Hotspur? 2-1 defeat to Newcastle. Obviously your fans are kind of be giving shit to Newcastle and back and forth. Obviously, the battle of the oil clubs and that. How are you feeling with the way Tottenham are going at the moment?
Before I start, can you hear me all right?
Oh, no, his mic is not working. Oh my God, I don't know.
Change mic.
I don't know. Is it not working for anyone else as well? It's just me. I don't know.
No, it's not working for me either. It keeps cutting off.
All right. Pat, we'll come to you. Obviously, Dom, we'll come back to you in a second. Pat, listen, bro. You've been very quiet, which is what someone put in the chat. But to be honest with you, I don't blame you because obviously I've been quiet as well. I'm just enjoying the Liverpool tears. But Pat, what are your thoughts on Spurs at the moment? Obviously, the situation with you guys, it's not looking great. Conte's come out, made quite a lot of comments, very Jose-esque, dare I say, the manner in which he's kind of thrown the players. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm not putting words into your mouth. I don't really understand his comments, but where do you sit with the Conte situation? Obviously, the Tottenham situation in general.
I wouldn't say I've been quiet. I mean, everyone's been talking. I don't need to be talking over people when they're having their say. So, I let people talk.
Yeah, of course.
I chip in when I need to. So, with that being said, I think with the Tottenham whole thing, I think people are so quick to just try and throw us, like as in the team, under the bus. Since Conte's come in, he's done a brilliant job. We were free-falling when he came in. We were absolutely shit. He took a team that no one expected to get into the top four. We went on a really good run. Up until the game on Sunday, we had a formidable record at home. I know the game wasn't good on Sunday, and I know we weren't good against Man United on Wednesday. But if you take a look at the whole picture, It's nowhere near as bad as people are making it out to be. Yeah, we've lost 2 in a row. It hasn't been good. Don't get me wrong. The football against Man United and Newcastle was awful. But fuck me, the way people are going on, you'd think we're in a relegation scrap. We're third in the league. We're not third by accident. At the end of the day, we're third. We're first in our Champions League group. And I just think sometimes people are such drama queens and they're always looking for an issue. Every time something happens, oh, what's going on with Conte? What's he saying here? What's he saying there? At the end of the day, there are a few injuries. Conte, for me, isn't without blame. He picks the squad. When I saw that lineup of Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, and Lenglet as a back 3 in a back 5, it didn't make any sense to me. And I was worried as soon as I saw that. He also needs to start making positive changes. Like, you can't be chasing a game at 2-1 down and you bring on 2 defenders. For me, what the fuck's going on? That makes no sense. You've got Brian, who whenever he does come on, looks positive. He looks good. He's actually a decent player. He needs more minutes, but you don't actually ever play him. You've got Emerson Royale starting at right back every single time he's available, and the guy is fucking shit. He's awful. He can't cross. He can't beat a man. He's all over the shop defensively. The guy's not good enough to be playing right wing back or right back for even a top 10, top 12, top 15 club. But the guy keeps starting, and you've got Jed Spence, who is definitely better than him and should be getting a run out. And Doherty, who isn't great, but he's still better than Jed Spence. So Conte isn't without blame. Davinson Sanchez should never be starting for Spurs, who are meant to be a top 4 club. That's another one. But I also don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. Like I said, we're third. We're not 7th. We're not 8th. We're not 9th. We're not 10th. So I just think people need to relax a bit. But this is what you get in it. It's sensationalized. You're either amazing or you're shit. There's no in between. There's no context anymore. So, yeah, I think that's me.
I've been consistent. You've been shit. You've been shit all season.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't been shit all season. If we'd been shit all season, we wouldn't be third. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, come on, be a bit. I know you're an Arsenal fan. I know you're an Arsenal fan.
Patrick, you know, hear it from Usman. Yeah, Usman, supports Man United. A season before last, Man United finished 2nd, and they were poor all season. And he will tell you this. They were winning games they shouldn't have. They were countering teams. It wasn't sustainable. That bubble burst at United. Yeah. That bubble burst at United. Yeah. Bro, and you look at what United did to you the other day. United, let me go I'll go one further. United destroyed you worse than we did. They might have scored less. They didn't let you have the ball, man. The transformation with United is real. Yeah. Like, whereby they are getting the ball, right? If the opposition does not have the football, they can't hurt you. Yeah, but you are not interested in.
We were bad in this. I've already said we were bad in that game. I've already said we were bad against Newcastle. At the end of the day, you're telling me about Man United. That's what's got to do with Tottenham.
No, because I'm connecting the dots, bro. I'm connecting the dots, bro.
Our team. That's not.
I know, but hear me out. What I'm saying, is very clear. I'll say it again. The way United were playing in that season when they finished 2nd was not sustainable, and the chickens came to roost with United next season or last season. This is gone. When we found out, they fuck around, they got found out. Yeah. You can't counter teams. If you are aspiring to win trophies, if you're aspiring to win the league, if you're aspiring to win the biggest prizes in football, when have these winning teams been counter-attacking teams? Please tell me.
Leicester.
But we don't play counter-attacking football.
Very rarely.
We don't play counter-attacking football all the time. That's what I said. It's a very lazy argument to say that all we do is play counter-attacking football. No, we don't. It is lazy. It's so one-dimensional to look at it and say that's all we do. We don't. Come on. And United was a totally different thing. They had a manager.
I think
he wasn't qualified.
Just obviously, I think what he's trying to say. Obviously, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I think what he's trying to say with the United thing. This is just me. We were papering over their crack a lot under Ali, so we came 2nd that season. And a lot of Manchester United fans saying, obviously, we're going in the right direction, etc., yada, yada, yada. And we were papering over the cracks. Obviously, we're getting the results, getting the points on the board, and people were giving us plaudits because we came 2nd. I think with Spurs, it's slightly different because I kind of feel sorry for Conte because I said this to Kish as well the other day. Your team is actually shit. Like, on paper, your defense, bar Romero, you could replace the whole back line to be with better quality. For me, I don't think the quality is good enough for a Tottenham Hotspur team. I think the midfield, although they're good players, as a unit, it doesn't work. You don't have a creative player. I'm extremely perplexed he didn't go for. I don't know if you could have got a Barella, obviously, but that's someone of that ilk. You know, obviously Eriksen would have been perfect.
Could have never let Eriksen go
I
United.
think the team's not that good
Ever.
personally. I don't rate your team. Like you've got Kane and Son. Obviously, we don't need to go into the Son conversation, but obviously they're both top quality players. And I was at the game.
Quality as well.
Kulusevski's quality.
Yeah, Kulusevski's he's brilliant as well. Right. But the point I'm making is he's got like 2-3 players at his disposal, and the rest of the players, to be honest, are nowhere near good enough. I mean, you can blame Conte all you want, and I was critical of Conte as Kish again. He should have changed the system for me. I know Lucas Moura's not a great player, and I know he hasn't done it, whatever, but you had to go 3-4-3 because 3-4-3 for you lot, whether people say Spurs play good football or not, you've actually looked like a decent team. I know Kulusevski's levels above Moura, but 3-4-3 suits Kane and Son because, as Kish said as well, I'm sure he'll elaborate, it gives you the option, firstly, in attack, which, they need, but secondly, from someone who was at the game on Man United, honest to God, that's the least scared of being in a game all season because you had no threat going forward because Kane was isolated. I actually felt sorry for the guy. Like, he was doing everything that he normally does, gets the ball, plays it down, but he had no options. He had no one to pass to. He was holding the ball really well, and that comes down to the system, and I think that's the only reason where Conte needs to take, obviously, criticism, of course. But overall, I think it comes down to the lack of quality, really, more than anything. Like, the squad's not good enough. Like, Conte's worked wonders to get you to third. Like, I'm actually surprised at that high. Like, for me personally,
we talk about a lack of quality though, yeah. But look, I don't think it takes a rocket science here. If you look at Tottenham's team right now, and you were asked to pick an area of the pitch where they are their strongest, it's their attack. It's their attack. Well, I think after Mane left, I was making videos. I dislike Spurs, but I was clear, like, they have the best attack in the league on paper. When you look at the players that they've got, you look at what Kane's accomplished, like how long he's been doing it in the Prem. You look at Son as well, the Golden Boot winner of last season. Like, undeniably, their attack's brilliant. But the reason why I didn't fear Spurs either, for me, it started at Stamford Bridge, because I looked at the window that they had. I looked at Richarlison coming in, being added to that front line. I was looking at them this season to be going away from home, to be going up against these big teams, and to be playing with the conviction and the belief that they can win these games. They went to Stamford Bridge. They played for a draw. Chelsea were on their knees at that point. You know what I mean? Tuchel was still there. They hadn't looked good up until that point. That's probably the best Chelsea have looked this season. And I just think, I'm sorry, you went there and you just sat back and you invited pressure on. You let them come at you. And I'm just like, I get it, you're away from home. I get it, it's a team. I get it, it's a team that you rarely beat. I get all of these things, I get all of these things. But with that attack that you've got, I remember when we had Henry and Bergkamp, we didn't fear anyone. Do you know what I mean? Why should we respect anyone or fear anyone when we go away? Ray will tell you, he's had Salah, Mane, Firmino for years. What? They're going to go Chelsea and play for a draw? Nah, they're going to go there and try and slap them. Like, this is the thing. The players you've got, the moment I saw that, I was like, wait there, what's going on here with Spurs? Like, and it's resonated in your other games against the Big Six. And the big irony is, everyone was saying after we faced United, first test and you failed, you haven't got it in you to beat the Big Six. We've beaten 2 Big Six teams now. You've picked up 1 point in 3 games against the Big Six. But you've got the world-class players in the back, and you've got the world-class manager, not us. So how does that work? Like,
away from home, like, this is what I mean. This, like, you lot are doing way too much, way too soon, and you're also forgetting. You're saying that we had no bite in attack. Yeah, Kulusevski and Richarlison have been injured. They're 2 of our best attacking players. If any team loses 2 of their best attacking players, in terms of you're talking depth, of course you're going to suffer. Of course. So
Party was missing at United. We tried to stick it on them. Okay, we lost. We had players missing for against United.
You said our attack was didn't have any bite. Of course, if you're missing 2 of your good attacking fucking options off the bench, you're gonna suffer.
They weren't missing for Chelsea, bro.
Yeah, and we've got a draw out of that game. So regardless of what you say, oh yeah, we went there to get a draw. So what? Like, you want to go gung ho away from home against a Big Six club?
It's not about going gung ho, mate. You didn't go at all. You literally sat back and invited them on you.
And we got a draw. So that's
Okay.
by the by. So
Where's
there
the
you
draw
go.
got you?
And what do you mean? We're third in the league right now. What do you mean?
Okay,
Like,
but let me finish that sentence. So you're third in the
we're in a
league.
relegation spot.
United
We're
and
third in
Chelsea
the
have
league.
games in hand, and if they win those games in hand, they're level on points with you.
But
So I'll
we're
finish that
third in
sentence
the
for you.
league. Last year, you told me
by virtue of playing
that
an extra
points-
game on United and
last
Chelsea.
year, you exactly told me points on the board is better than games in hand. So which one is it?
Okay,
Which one is it?
and I agree with that. But
There you
what I'm
go.
saying is
So
your
that's
situation is not as comfortable in third as you are making it out to be. That's what I'm saying.
We are
I
third.
get it.
We
Points
are
on the
third.
board are points on the
Stop trying
board,
to
but
spin it.
your
We're
situation
third
in
right
third
now.
isn't exactly
We're third.
consolidated.
We are third.
Do you
We just need to win some games. We'll be all right. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not the crisis you lot are making it out to be. It really isn't. Yes, we have been shit against United and we were poor against Newcastle, but it's not as bad as you're making it out to be. It's
You
definitely
were poor against us.
And yeah.
Right, listen. Let's get
Point. You're at home. You've played with all this being said, you've played all your
Fulham
tough
came
games
to
at home.
the Emirates and gave us more of a battle than you did. Imagine that.
So what?
Fulham.
Every game's different. You were shit against Leeds. You fuck it. You won the game. You were shit against Southampton. You got a point. So what? Like at the end of the day, every game's different. Like
so Leeds also
one second. I want Kish to give his thoughts.
You are papering over the cracks, my friend.
Let Kish it go, and then you can come back. Kish, what are your thoughts? Obviously, you've heard what the guys are saying. You've heard what I've said.
Yeah, look. I mean, we're in the group chat. You could see that I was frustrated yesterday with Conte. But actually, looking at the game, I was one of the few probably Spurs fans that watched the game again, just to kind of analyze it. And to be honest with you, it was whoever scores first wins. The first 30 minutes. Kane and Son had 2 chances apiece. I think Son had one where he was 1-on-1 and he tried to dink the keeper, and he should have scored that. To be honest, he had to score that. It was a sitter for Son, really. Scores that 1-0. We're in the game. We were creating chances, and then Lloris does something silly, and the whole game completely changes because that's what Newcastle want. Newcastle want to score first away from home because their defense, unlike ours, is solid with the likes of Dan Burn, Trippier, and is it Sharon Botman? Sharon Botman.
Yeah, Sharon Sven Botman. Yeah.
But I think a lot of going back to the Man United game, the 3-5-2. A lot of fans were like, "Oh, this is what we wanted," blah blah blah. But it wasn't at all because when I saw the lineup and I saw Kane and Son, which are the only players of attacking intent, that for me created a huge amount of frustration. But really, you were the one that opened my eyes on that, Osman. If we actually looked at our bench for that game, you take Richarlison and Kulusevski away from our team. We have Lucas Moura, which was his first game back in the bench since I think September. We had Gil, who let's be honest, Conte doesn't rate at all. He just blocked the move on the last day of the transfer window for him to go Valencia on loan because we couldn't get a replacement. We couldn't get Dan James, for example. We couldn't get, I can't remember the guy from Atletico Madrid as well. Carrasco. We couldn't get Carrasco. So if you look back at our team, if someone had told me that 7 years on, I'd still have the likes of Dyer, Davies, and Sanchez as my back 3 defense, I would have laughed my head off. And the fact that you take Romero out of that team and you have that back 3, it's just not good enough. I know what he's trying. At Inter Milan, for example, he played a 3-5-2. But at Inter Milan, he had Hakimi and Perisic in the fullback positions, who are one of Hakimi in particular is one of the most creative fullbacks in kind of his position in world football. And they had a 3 in midfield of Eriksen, Barella, and Brozovic. We, in our midfield, only have Bentancur of creative ability. Bentancur was the only one in the Man United game and the game against Newcastle that tried to run forward with the ball and tried to create open space. But apart from that, Bissouma, which I will speak about later on when you talk about one of the topics that you said, I've been massively, massively underwhelmed by him. I mean, we were told that we didn't want Eriksen in the end, but let's be honest, I think, truth be told, Eriksen...
Yeah, I think he rejected you, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, because...
never let him go United. Ever.
Proved at Man United that he can play that deep line midfielder role. And Conte recently has mentioned in his interviews as well that he actually wanted him, but it's just the case that he decided that he wanted to have a change of mood. So this rumor that everyone said about Bissouma, that he will be the player that he was in France when Brighton signed him, this forward box-to-box midfielder that will find the passing range and create it. But he will never change what he's good at. What he was good at at Brighton was breaking up play, creating opportunities for others to go past him in midfield, like your Trossards, like your Lallanas, and these sort of creative players to do the rest of the work. You're never going to get a Bentancur type kind of creative ability in Bissouma. That was never going to happen. So if you actually look at our team, there's not really much you can do. Yes, he plays pragmatic football, but any Spurs fan who thought that by getting Conte be any different is stupid. And everyone goes about, at Inter Milan it was different. Yeah, but Inter Milan, look at the players I've just named out. So when Conte actually says that it's going to take 2 to 3 transfer windows for Tottenham to be considered as title challengers, he's right, because
I guess what I'm trying to say, Kish, is I feel that your attack is so good that you need a coach whose methods, and who's like Conte's a good manager, but I don't think him or Jose are the right managers for attacking players like Harry Kane and Son. They should not be.
But they had a good.
Harry Kane had his best individual season.
Of course,
Son had his best individual season on the Conte.
I hear all of that, but if you imagine him playing under a manager who is more expansive, who wants to dictate play and control the tempo of the game a lot more, that is putting more chances on a plate. Because Harry Kane's been feeding off scraps, and he's having the season of his life. Do you know what I mean? Because he's that clinical. But I'm just saying, in a team that is more abundantly creating chances, I think these lot, there's another level in them.
No, but GK,
I'm saying this out of respect for these man, by the way.
I agree. Look, don't get me wrong. I agree with what you're saying there. And we had that for 4 or 5 seasons under Pochettino. And do you know what? In terms of style of football and for entertainment value, we were probably one of the best teams to watch in the Premier League going world football at that point in time. I mean, the games against Man City, the games against Liverpool that we had, the games against Ajax, you were always going to get goals and entertainment from our team. But in terms of having that killer mentality, we have not gone for Conte, for attacking, free-flowing style football. We haven't. What we've gone for is for trophies. So if Patrick is right, we're third in the league, give or take. I know you talk about who we've played, who we've not played, and if United win their game in hand and whoever else win their game in hand, but we're still
if
third
Chelsea
in the
win their
league.
game in hand, there's their point
at the top of the Champions League. You can. I know Usman said it's the worst Champions League on paper that he's ever seen, and that's fine. But if you actually look at it based on results and you look at it based on what he's had in the last 2 games off the bench, the 3-5-2 that he's played is based upon the caliber of player that he has. There's no, like Usman's right. I actually initially just out of anger said it against Man United where he should have just started with Gil. But he would be putting someone like Gil in the back burner by risking it and playing him in that kind of game. And then Lucas Moura, I told Usman, well, he should have started Lucas Moura. But then Usman then mentioned that Lucas Moura has been injured all season. So again, if he played Lucas Moura from the start and then Moura pulls up a handshake,
for me, I think the pragmatism of Conte is playing against the greatest strength.
No, just hear me out. One thing. In terms of our attacking players on the bench yesterday, was Lucas Moura, Gil, and White. That's 18-year-old White. Yeah, that's all we had in terms of attacking players on our bench. Now, you tell me, out of those 3 attacking players, who is going to do serious damage? So,
on the player side,
we brought on 2 defenders, second half, but
on the player side,
was Doherty and Perisic, which are attacking fullbacks. So what else could be done out of that? Do you know what I'm saying?
It's the thing is, for starters, it is the free system. Like, it is the fact that there was no attempt to bring in a creative central midfielder in the summer.
There was though, but he just didn't go for the players that. So we.
Okay. So let me just, whether there was an attempt or there wasn't, and you didn't get one, for one reason or another, you did not get a creative central midfielder, right? And if you look at the big games that you played this season, Chelsea, us, and United, right? I can honestly say, obviously we play you at home, we always beat you at home, we always lose to you away. There was never any doubt in my mind. Even though you've had a good window, even though you've got Conte, even though you've come forward and you have improved, no doubt, as a team, like, there was more fear playing Liverpool at Liverpool's current state. Yeah, even though that was also at home. Yeah, and that to me tells all. Do you know what I mean? Like you need to go to the next stage. You need to develop that fear factor, and you're not going to develop that fear factor playing against the big teams in this way. You're not going to do that. You're not going to make the big
against
club.
Newcastle and against Man United. Okay, let's go against Man United, right? Who do you play then, based off the players that are fit and available? Who would you play?
It's not about who you play. It's about how you tell them to play.
But it is because it's just a simple question.
No. You can. I think what I'm trying to say is how you are telling your players to play. Yeah, it is how you are quite happy and you're quite content to sit back and invite pressure onto yourselves and then counter people when you have attackers like this. Like this, I think he tried to play Skip yesterday to try and actually go against that grain. I give him credit for that. Do you know what I mean? He did make a difference as well, yeah. But I just think he should have been doing that sooner, because Newcastle went into that game having seen how you performed against us, United, and Chelsea, and what they basically said is if you take that invitation that Spurs will give you in the first 20 to 30 minutes and you really go at them like the other guys did in the other big games, then you can get something from them. Newcastle have taken that blueprint from these 3 big games. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, where you are right now in the season, yes, you're third. Yes, you've had your best start to the Premier League season that you've ever had. Yeah, I respect all these things. But what I'm trying to say is, for the fact that you've got world-class players that we don't have, you have a world-class manager that we don't have. We've got no place being above you. None. Zero.
Yeah, but my guy, the one thing I will say to you is
because we have a world-class system.
All it takes is one or two injuries to your team. GK, you know for a fact, yeah, that
if Jesus gets injured and Partey, for example, then I think Arsenal.
It's over.
Can I just say something? This is the funny thing, yeah, right? So far this season, Zinchenko's been injured, Tierney's been injured, Partey's been injured. Emil Smith Rowe, our second top goal scorer, he's been injured. El Neni, the backup.
Partey's missed one game all season.
No, he missed more than one game. No, he's missed more than one game. No, he's missed more than one game.
Can someone else talk? Is that all right?
Pat, say your point, then we're going to go to Dom and Raiyaan because
Ghana, you're saying you got a world-class system. You spent 300 million in the last 2 windows. Like, you spent a lot of money. So let's cut the narrative that Arteta's turning water into wine. You spent a lot of money, more than all the other clubs.
What world-class player did he buy? What player did he buy that was at a world-class caliber when he bought them?
Bro, if you're spending that much,
I'm just asking.
So it doesn't matter about a world-class player.
But a world-class player doesn't just all of a sudden change.
To whittle down the narrative to what we spent and not what we spent it on is just churlish. We bought kids. We bought absolute kids. No, he's not. I didn't say he was. We bought kids.
Gabriel Jesus is not a kid.
Nah, man, don't give me this agenda, man. I've seen you come out with so many TikTok videos.
When I say we bought kids, Patrick, I'm talking about the lion's share. There's only 2 players that he's bought that are over the age of 25. Yeah? Jesus, Zinchenko, and Partey. They're the 3, my apologies.
And he's not a kid.
So he's bought 3 players over the age of 25. The rest have been kids.
You spend money
William, my apologies.
Acting like all of a sudden Arteta's done a good job, but he's also spent money. He should be doing better than what he's done. You finished 8th and 5th.
He should be better. He should be doing better than you when he doesn't have any world-class players in his squad and isn't a world-class manager.
You didn't listen to what I said. I said he should be doing better than what he's been doing, and he is.
But should be doing better than you.
You did have world-class players.
Listen, we're going to move on because, again, this is going to go on for ages. Right, Dom, let's see if your mic's working. You wait very patiently.
0 players doing better than you, man. And it's your system that's letting you down, bro. You're just not ready for that conversation. But you will be in May, bro.
We get it. Relax.
It's October. Dom, fuck me.
Let's talk Man United, Chelsea, and then we'll finish with Arsenal. Dom will come to you. Hopefully he's working. What are your thoughts? Man United, Chelsea, another draw. Speak to me.
I'll watch the game. watch the game. Is it working? Am I speaking? Can you hear me?
It's still messed up, man.
I've changed it 3 times. Changed it, man.
Oh my god! Right, okay, Dom. I'm gonna kick you out basically. I'll chat to you after I finish, bro. I do apologize, my guy. Right, okay, Raiyaan, we'll come to you. Obviously, you'll be patiently waiting as well. Listen, my night Chelsea, we'll just go through it because it was a bit of a dead game. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, both teams have got new managers. For me personally, you can't really judge Chelsea at the moment. That's just my personal opinion. Obviously, each to their own. The only reason I say that is because Potter's been there for like 2 or 3 games, if I'm not mistaken. Probably 4 now. But yeah, Raiyaan, what are your thoughts on both teams? Obviously, 5th and 4th, respectfully. What did you make of it?
I thought United were really, really good in that first half, to be honest, like very good. The way you get the ball, the way you attack Chelsea, the way you pretty much controlled the first half completely. You should have been ahead. You created quite a few chances. Anthony, I remember, should have scored. Rashford should have scored. Like, you should have gone into half time ahead. Fair play to Potter as well. You know, he changed it up, brought Kovacic on. I think he took Cucurella off from what I remember. And that definitely improved things for Chelsea. Second half, Chelsea were better, but I don't know. Chelsea still never looked like they were going to score. I think that's probably down to the quality of their attackers, which was obviously a huge problem under Tuchel as well. You know, at the end of the day, Graham Potter, the football will improve at Chelsea. They'll control games better. They'll be better on the ball. But at the end of the day, they still got the same dead creative players and dead attackers in it. So, like, you know, that's still a huge issue for them. And they never really looked like scoring. Obviously, they got the goal through just McTominay's stupidness. It weren't through anything to do with how good Chelsea were, to be honest, going forward. But yeah, I know Chelsea aren't great as well at holding on to leads as well. There have been games where they've dropped leads, I think, as well. I think that's what their fans have said anyway. And that showed they should have held on to that. A great header from Casemiro, but it was a good mentality from United as well to come back, you know, going 1-0 down that late as well. You know, you got to say fair play to that. The mentality does seem to be improving in United as well. And you got to give Ten Hag credit at the end of the day. He's had a big impact so far. He's done very well in the big games as well. You've done really, really well as well. Got some good results. So he's doing his thing, man. You know, you look better on the ball and off the ball. So the signings as well you've made been very, very good as well. Martinez, excellent. Casemiro, look, we all know how good Casemiro is. I think people who are actually doubting him, you know, I don't get how you could doubt Casemiro. So yeah, things are looking up for United still. It hurts to say it, but yeah, I was disappointed a bit by Chelsea though. I can't lie. I was expecting a bit more from Chelsea, especially being at home, because I actually really rate Potter as well. Like, I really rate Graham Potter very highly, and you know I have done for a few years now. I've been singing his praises for years, and it's good that he's got this chance now. But yeah, I was expecting a bit more from Chelsea, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with Chelsea. I'm not gonna lie, I was absolutely baffled at how poor they were. Like, that first half, obviously, you know, obviously everyone's praising Manchester United, and obviously I'm a Man United fan myself, but they just made it so easy for us. Like, I don't understand what they were doing. They're at home, and it was almost like they were caught between two styles. They're trying to attack or they're trying to park and they counter. Like, it seemed like no one knew what they were doing. And their players, like, obviously Sterling, for me, very much Sancho-esque. Both of them English wingers look like they just don't want to take their man on for whatever reason. Obviously, Sancho's been absolutely shocking for United so far. I'm a big fan of his, but it's not happening for him at the moment. And Sterling as well, I was extremely disappointed at him from a neutral perspective. The guy was just...
He's been poor last few games.
Offering nothing to the attack. I mean, he was just getting the ball and just passing it back. Literally not running at his man, not causing any threat. I mean, Mason Mount was their most threatening player, which says everything. Aubameyang was absolutely non-existent. I mean, it's difficult with Martinez, you know, pocketing him every single
That's the thing with Aubameyang, bro. You have to rely. He relies on service, innit? He's not going to do anything else.
He does rely on service, but
the thing is with Sterling and Sancho,
he didn't run into the channel. He didn't offer an outlet when the ball got losing it constantly. But yeah, Chelsea, I mean, they're quite clearly missing Reece James. I mean, it seemed like Reece James, their most important player, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, that was quite apparent. Fair play to Azpilicueta. He didn't have to do much because Sancho didn't want to run at him for some reason, but it is what it is. But yeah, for me, look, Man United obviously making improvements, but I'm not getting ahead of myself. Like, it's early doors, and obviously we're playing against opposition that in a similar situation where they're not really established. Kish, we'll come to you firstly. What did you make of the two teams? Obviously, both competing with yourselves for a top four spot.
I was really disappointed with Chelsea. Like echoed with the rest of the team. I think Kepa was their best player, to be honest, which kind of tells you the obvious that United were the better team. That goal came from nowhere. It was a mistake from McTominay, which you're right as well. And look, I mean, you all go on about Casemiro, Varane, even Dalot, etc. The obvious players, but I think the one player that I am going to say is Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw, at the beginning of this season, had a lot of pressure on him. He didn't have a good season last season at all. He was shocking alongside Maguire. And the young 19-year-old fullback in Malacia took his position. And the game against Liverpool, he played really well as well. And it was looking bleak for Luke Shaw. And then when Luke Shaw got into the England squad, and everyone was surprised by that, and he had a really good game for England as well. And since then, he's not looked back. And the last few games, even the game against Tottenham, I know we made it easy for you, but he still played really well. And even the game against Chelsea, he seems to he seemed to have lost a couple of kilos, put it that way. And he just seems to be a lot fitter in general. And I don't know if that's Erik ten Hag has kind of had a go at him or whatever it is, doing them extra mile runs after the first few games when they lost.
It was him losing his place, like you said,
yeah. And the one player that I think you've mentioned as well, I don't know how much faith you've got now left in Sancho, Osman, but it's getting to the stage now, my guy, where he's getting really poor. And if Martial was fit, it would be Sancho on one side, Anthony on the other, and Martial up front, because Sancho doesn't deserve to be anywhere near this team.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Apart from that goal that he scored against Liverpool, where the goalkeeper basically gave it to him, let's be honest.
Yo, chill out, man. He did a lot of work for that goal,
that wasn't the goalkeeper. That was Van Dijk.
Where's the player? Where's the player that you signed from Dortmund? He'd be attacking all defenders. He'd be taking on 2-3 man in the Champions League against Barcelona. He'd be scoring goals, bundles of confidence. Like, always want. Basically, what Anthony's doing right now for Man United is what Sancho should be doing. So for whatever reason, it's just not happening.
One thing about Sancho,
with Sancho and Sterling, we talk about strikers being service reliant. Some wingers or some wide players, because I think Sancho's more of a wide playmaker than a touchline winger. They need their number 9 to get close to them and to kind of give and go. They need to create those triangles to be able to be effective. Like, if you look at Sancho playing with Haaland, they would alternate, they would interchange, they would play very closely together at certain key moments here. And I think that's what Sancho and Sterling are missing. I said to Chelsea fans, and they were really not ready for this conversation, Aubameyang is a good striker. He can get you goals, but he offers nothing to the players behind him. Yeah, like, the other creative outlets. I said players like Mason Mount, players like Havertz, players like Sterling will absolutely starve with Ober as their frontman. Of course, I was just saying it because I have an agenda, because he used to play for Arsenal and now he's joining a rival, and I don't want to see him do well. But we saw it at Arsenal. Literally, Lacazette is not a better striker than Ober. But Saka, Martinelli and Odegaard last season all looked better the minute after we lost at Goodison Park to Everton when Ober got dropped. All three of them looked better after that. And that was no coincidence, So I think you saw that with Chelsea. I think with United, what you're seeing is there is clear progression. I think the biggest difference has been Eriksen for me. He's come in and he allows United to control the tempo, and the possession, like how they build up, their build-up structure and the patterns in midfield have got a lot better. The only thing they need is someone that can get on the end of these chances now, I think.
Yeah. There's a certain player that might be able to.
We need a certain Harry Kane in it, Pat. What do you reckon?
certain 700 career goal man. That can
Yo,
do
sort
that
us
job.
out. Yo, Pat, sort us out, man. We'll give you one Bissaka, man. We know you need full bags.
There's a certain greatest striker of all time on your under 21s if you want to check it out.
Oh, Ronaldo. I was thinking who the hell you're talking about. Listen, now said he's back. Listen, Pat, what your thoughts on Man United? Obviously, I don't want to talk about Ronaldo. I'm sure you've spoken about it a billion times, so we're not getting to that. But what have you made of both teams? Obviously, you know, it's understandable GK is pushing his Aubameyang agenda. But what do you want to talk about, bro? What did you take away both from that game?
Yeah, I like the way United have played this season. I like how Ten Hag has come in. It's taken him a while, but he's kind of getting to grips with the squad. You see, he's like basically ruling his authority. He's making some tough decisions, but he's showing the guys what's what. Like the guys have said, Luke Shaw looks a bit fitter. I've been really impressed with Martinez. I liked him at Ajax, and I love how he's come in. And he's just been commanding at 6-yard box. He's not giving other than Erling Haaland, he's not giving any strikers any change. He looks assured already, and he's only been here for a couple of months. I really like your winger as well. The name's escaped me.
Anthony.
Anthony. I like him. I think he could take on this man a bit more. But yeah, he's a quality player, man. I like what he adds to your attack, and I think United are a dark horse for the top four. I didn't have them in my top four. I still don't think they're getting the top four, but they do look good, and they are going to take a lot of points off other teams. So yeah, I think for what Ten Hag's come in and done in such a short space of time, you can definitely see that there's progress. Still obviously trying to get the best out of Rashford. Martial still can't stay fit, so that's a problem. And like everyone's saying, we don't know what's going on with Sancho, but there are some good signs there, and it is looking good from what it was last year to now. So I think most Man United fans will be quietly pleased with what's going on so far.
Yeah, no, I think I'd probably agree with your statement that I don't think we'll get top four still. I know a lot of people are starting to throw us in the top four conversation, obviously, understandably, but I just don't think we're there yet. I think we've got too many errors in our game. Now with Varane injured as well, it basically means Maguire's going to start if he's fit, which is a nightmare.
Lindelof, haven't you?
Yeah, Lindelof he did, but Mitrovic v Lindelof is going to be peak basically. So I'm not looking forward to that. But what I just want, before we move on from United, I just want to say Martinez, he's given all these short kings hope. All these short kings that doubted. They may say you're 5'9", but it doesn't matter about your height. You can still do it with the big boys. Listen, Martinez, I absolutely love the guy, and I don't know if you guys seen that picture with Martinez and the fan. I know a lot of people celebrate the draw, and I understand. Like, obviously, I get that. People are saying that's fine. But for me, I'm not gonna lie. When Casemiro scored, I screamed. Like, I was buzzing. I don't care. It didn't look like we were gonna score at that point, so I will take that point at Stamford Bridge. And to be honest, Stamford Bridge away is hard for anyone, man. Regardless of what form Chelsea are in, they're always difficult to play against. But yeah, end of the day, we go again. Major improvements, but we'll see what happens. But listen, last but not least, let's talk about top of the pile. Was it a blip or Arsenal's serious title contenders? There's only one place to start, really. GK, we'll come to you, my guy. What are your thoughts?
I think, at this stage, like looking at the table, like just looking at where we are at the moment, looking at the points tally, looking at the gap between second and everyone else, and I think the gap in quality as well in terms of like how everyone else is playing compared to Arsenal and City for the most part. We're in contention now. That can change very quickly, very very quickly. Like overnight, and what it will let us down. And I said it after the United game. A lot of people went at the refs and the disallowed Martinelli goal, and a lot of Arsenal fans have been doing the same with this game about the refs. And, that I think there were some very contentious decisions in that game. However, the hallmark similarity in both, and if you look at the PSV game, we had 25 shots, 8 on target, 1 goal at home. Not good enough. You won't win titles, and you might lose. Yeah, that you're even the comfortable sort of surrounding you have in the top 4, if you continue to spurn that many chances, especially at home. So I look at that first and foremost as a big concern. Now, I'm not saying Jesus is a problem or the problem. It has been 5 games, I think, since he scored now. But Jesus was never that kind of striker that, if you look at Salah and Jesus, they're not like built like Haaland. Like they need 2 or 3 chances and they'll take one. They might take the first one, one day, and then take the next 2 or 3 because of that confidence, and they feed off that. So I've always known to expect that from Jesus. I think Martinelli is starting to chip in with more end product now, which is very good, and the same with Saka. But I think the 2 things, we need to be more clinical. And if you look at the difference with City, with their midfield, they've rotated in and out De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, to kind of keep the centre of their midfield fresh. That they've done the same in their back line with their defence. They've still got Alvarez there as well, who could come in for Haaland. Not only do they have more depth and more quality than us, they are rotating their pack to keep it fresher. Whereas we're playing off of our first 11.
GK, sorry to interrupt you, bro, but you actually being serious now? You're comparing yourself to City, like you got a chance. Like,
no. What I'm saying is, if we were to compete with them, these are the differences. The clear difference is they've got the luxury of being able to change a lot of their core components, over a period of a certain amount of games, to make sure they're not playing too many minutes. Unfortunately, Arsenal don't have that luxury. Like the same 11 I could name has been playing most of our Premier League games. And I think what you're starting to see, against Leeds, we were fortunate. Against PSV, you could see there was a tiredness, in the final third when we got in the box. And the chickens came home to roost when we played against Southampton, where the second half performance we put in wasn't good enough, and I think you are seeing tiredness. I think out of I think 8 or 9 players have played in our last 15 games consecutively. So
but this is GK, but this is the thing, right? This is the thing, like, obviously, initially, Arsenal, they've surpassed my expectations. But I must say, I'm not a hater. You got to give credit where it's due. But the reason I've basically said Arsenal are going to struggle this season is because of the lack of squad depth. And for me personally, once Europa League kicks in, to be fair to you guys, you've handled it quite well at the moment. But when it comes to knockout stages, when you have to play your first team, you've had the luxury of playing, some of the kids who've still got your results. Fair play to them and whatnot. But when you have to play your first 11 on Thursday, the first 11 on Sunday, that is eventually going to catch up to you. And for me, honestly, I know this is going to be maybe I have a hot take, but I still think Arsenal in the top 4 race. And I know that's going to be a mad statement because they're first and they're flying. But I honestly think you're going to properly fall off. I don't know who's going to come second, and I don't know who's going to come.
You're just seeing what you want to happen, bro. I'll be real.
No. I asked Kish. I've said this, and you can literally go to my first video of the season where we did predictions. I said this. This isn't even like a dig at Arsenal. This is literally fatigue. I saw it with Man United. I've seen it with so many teams, but I saw it with those. I don't know if you guys remember. I think we came third or something. Bruno Fernandes and Rashford in particular were literally dead on their feet for about 10 games in a row, and Ollie wouldn't take them out of the team. They were dropping 1 out of 10s week in, week out, and for whatever reason they kept playing. Literally, they were dead. They were dead on the feet. And I've got a feeling
my biggest concerns of this,
Saka, for example, he's not going to get a rest because you need him to start.
Yeah.
Jesus, he's going to need to start. You can't really take him out and put Nketiah in because he's not of the caliber of Jesus and what it brings to the team. So I think for me, you're either going to get injuries, which obviously I don't wish that upon anyone, or you're going to get major fatigue, and it's going to start to affect the performances. And look, I didn't watch a great deal of Southampton game. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but I definitely watched the Leeds game, and you guys were unbelievably.
We were poor in the second half against Leeds as well. Very poor. Very poor.
But I just think it's going to be a fatigue thing. I don't think it's going to be anything else. I just think you're going to get caught up, basically, which is understandable. There's a lot of fixtures and not much rotation. But that's my personal opinion. Pat, we'll come to you. What do you reckon regarding Arsenal? Obviously, I know you've been very vocal on Twitter regarding... I mean, I suppose they keep atting you, so you have to reply. What have you made of the Arsenal situation at the moment? Do you believe in the hype, or do you think it's a bit overreaction?
No, I've got to be honest. I'll give Arsenal their credit. They're first, and they're doing well. They deserve to be there. They've had some fortunate results, and well, not fortunate results. They've had some fortunate things go their way, but in football, I guess it swings and roundabouts, and it all goes your way eventually, and it evens out. But I had them in my top 4 to begin with. I still have them in my top 4. I don't think they're going to win the league, but where they are right now and how they're playing, they're definitely title contenders. And obviously, you would say City's closest team. I still think personally City will walk the league and win it by at least 15 points. But right now, Arsenal are giving them a good run for their money. And you've just got to give them credit. I still don't buy into the whole Arsenal are the best team in the league and they're playing the best football. I still personally don't think Arsenal will finish above Tottenham. I still think like as the season goes on, like you're saying, Usman, they drop off a bit and tear. But right now, as it stands, credit to them. They're doing well. Arteta seems to have managed the kids. He knows his best 11. He's getting the tune out of all of the players. And they're playing cohesive, for the most part, good football. Second half against Southampton was really poor. Second half against Leeds was really poor. I didn't watch the PSV game. I can't lie, so I can't talk on that. But yeah, right now, I can't hate. I just got to give them their credit, and they're playing good. Martinelli's definitely improved. Saka looks like he's getting a bit more. For all the Saka's plaudits, he's not. For me, he's not been that good in the final third. But this year, he's starting to really put it together, make the killer pass, make the killer run, and just do. But he's still a young player, so he's maturing. Partey's been better. I'm just trying to think of. Aaron Ramsdale, for me, is still nowhere near the keeper they make him out to be. Nowhere near. Like even that goal against Southampton, a better keeper makes himself big and saves that. It wasn't a great finish. It wasn't in the corner, and Ramsdale just let it trickle past him. So there's little things here and there. But for the I don't want to nitpick. They're doing well. They're playing well. They're a really good unit. They play some good football, and they're where they deserve to be right now. So credit to them.
Raiyaan, we'll get yours and Kish's thoughts quick, and then we'll do the last segment. Raiyaan, what do you reckon? Obviously, you didn't quite agree with what I was saying. Where do you sit with the Arsenal situation?
I've been massively impressed by them. I can't lie this season. Like I've watched them quite a few times. Every time I watch them, they just improve. Even the game they lost to United, I thought they played very well in that game as well. To be honest with you, then their naivety just caught up with them. I think Arteta made some stupid subs as well, but Arsenal actually played very well in that game, and they're playing a very good brand of football, sustainable brand of football as well, where, in full control of games, looking good defensively, creating chances. And yeah, I think the Jesus thing is costing them a bit recently in terms of, we all know he's not a great finisher. We all know he's not a great goal scorer like that. He's a top player. I really like him as a footballer, and he brings a lot to your team, makes your team better. But that might end up costing you. But in terms of Arsenal, I think Arsenal are certified for top 4. Like I just don't see Arsenal not getting top 4. I have to be real for you. I think they get second, if I'm being real with you. I think City will end up winning the league comfortably, and I still think City are on some crazy level. And it's the squad depth as well. I think if Arsenal if Arsenal, in terms of the any title talk, let's say in January you're within City, touching distance, whatever. It'd be criminal for you guys not to go make like 2 or 3 top signings in January. Then,
and that's what I wanted to say.
If you did not do that, and honestly, if you didn't do that, that is ridiculous. Because if you did that, that could really close the gap a bit more and really give you more momentum. And you could manage squad depth better. And also Europa League. If if you're in some sort of title race in January, second half of the season, you're gonna prioritize that over the Europa League. Let's be real. Like obviously you're going to. So
I think what I wanted to say, Ray, as well, was that's what I was looking at. I think if you look at how modestly we spent in January, we did leave that midfield gap.
Yeah.
And we did, some people are saying maybe we should look at a second striker or a winger that can also play as a striker, like say a Gakpo, who can play across the front line. And we did neither. We also recouped about 25, 30 million pounds from sales as well. So we spent 115 million. I think what they did is they observed what Tottenham did in the last January window and the difference that Kulusevski and Bentancur made coming in January. And I genuinely believe they've left a buffer so that they can go in January again. That's what I'm hoping.
Exactly. January signings can make a big impact. You look at what Luis Diaz did for us last season in January, and we almost won a quadruple at the end of the day. We ended up winning pretty much every game in the second half of the season. It was the run we went on. And I think with Arsenal, if you, like I said, if you're within City, close to them, you've got to go make some signings in January to try, even if you don't win the league, at least try and go on some sort of run to maybe get close to them and compete for it at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, I think one thing with Arsenal recently, what I've seen as well, is that tiredness is definitely playing a part. You know, he's going with strong teams in Europa, trying to get that job done, I guess. But which is fair enough, because I think if you finish second in your Europa group, you have to play a playoff or something. You don't want to have 2 extra games like that. So that's fair enough. But I think when I've seen Arsenal recently, I think you are kind of gassing yourselves out in a way, because I think in the first half hour of games, you're going full pelt, full intense, trying to basically kill the opposition off in the first half an hour. And then obviously there's
Liverpool used to do the same thing in it under Klopp. Do you remember that period when you had to burn out at 60 minutes? So
that was definitely the case in like Klopp's first few seasons. It sort of became more controlled after that, and we were a bit that wasn't happening after that. But I think that's what's happening with Arsenal right now, is you are gassing yourselves out after maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. So
I think, to be fair, if they do go and sign 3 players in January, then obviously what I've said obviously would be null and void. But listen, Kish, we're gonna finish off with you just quickly. Do you think it's a blip what happened at Southampton, or do you just think it's, it can happen? So
I think it can happen. I mean, look, for the first 60, 65 minutes, Arsenal battered them. That goal came from nowhere, to be honest, from Southampton, and when it did, it just gave them the impetus. And to be fair, they could have nicked it in the end, but it was a fair result in the end. But I think, with Arteta, my feelings on Arteta. I do rate him as a manager. I know you and the regular podcast member Lawless have not rated him ever since he reigned.
I've never.
You've always called him Ollie 2.0. So I think with him, the pressure came very quickly because he won the FA Cup as soon as he became manager, and then the 2 8th place finishes. A lot of the comparisons, if that was Emery, he would have been sacked in no time. If that was Chelsea, but they've backed him, and to be fair, they've given him full control, because at the time fans were unhappy that Ozil was put in the situation he was in. Even with the Aubameyang situation, fans weren't happy. The fact that he kept hold of Xhaka, the fans weren't happy. But it shows that he had a clear plan. And even with Saliba, when a lot of fans said, why is he out on loan when we could do with him at centre-half? It seems like every decision that he's made up until now has a forward progression, and it seems to be working. So we'll see longer term, but I think I'll kind of agree with what everyone said. I do think Jesus will kind of leave them missing out. A lot of the fans said early in the season, I don't know why Man City have let him go. I don't know why that's happened. But let's be honest, Man City don't need runners, because they've got every single one of their midfielders run for the ball and they chase and they hound defenders. So they need someone that can finish, and that's what you get with Haaland and even Alvarez. And I actually think Nketiah is a better finisher than Jesus. Not a better all-round player, of course not, but a better one-on-one finisher. So I think you said earlier you can't rely on him. I think for the odd game, when you do need someone who has that kind of clinical finishing ability about him, I think having Nketiah for the Southampton game wouldn't have been bad, to be honest with you. But I think top 4, 100%. I see Arsenal in top 4. But in terms of title challenge, I think there's still a season away. And I think eventually the next part of their kind of evolving kind of factor will be another striker, I think, and Jesus as an option. Right. I think if they'd got someone like Vlahovic last January, which they tried alongside Jesus, then I do think it'd be a bit more of a closer run. But I think that will be the next part of their process. And top 4, I think already, I know we're only like 10, 11 games in, but I would be amazed if Arsenal didn't come top 4. I would be completely That for me would be a sackable offence. I'm not going to lie.
Oh yeah, if Arteta doesn't get top 4 and doesn't win Europa, it's a sackable offence for sure.
Yeah, if he gets out of top 4 from this position, then
if they don't get top 4, those bookmarks that I've got of all these. I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to make a slideshow. Listen, good, I've got better. I've got your tweets bookmark. I'm ready, bro. I'm ready for the demise. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, bro.
Osman's going to be the most shameless person ever.
Bro, I don't even care. If he comes 6th and you don't come top 4, I couldn't give a shit.
Bro, I can't lie. After they lost to Newcastle
even
last
if you come
season,
8th, I'm telling you, the bookmarks are coming out, bro. You best get top 4. You best get top. If you don't get top 4, bro, you must just hide, man. Just allow it. Don't even come back onto social media. But listen, we're gonna wrap it there. We were gonna do flop of the season, but I've got a feeling with the person I'm gonna mention, it might cause too much argument, so it'll probably be even too long. So listen,
I know what you're gonna say. Exactly what you're gonna say, you dickhead. I knew it. I knew when you looked at me. I knew what you're gonna say.
Listen, I was gonna say Trent, but it is what it is. But anyways, listen, we'll leave it
for the season. Doesn't that mean a signing?
No, just flop of the season, innit? Flop.
Shit, I was thinking signings or like.
Yeah, mine's Basuma. So.
I was going to say Richard Arlington literally exists.
You got one for us. Who have you gone for?
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
So who's your flop of the season? Who would you have gone for? Just obviously we don't need to go into too much detail, but you got someone. Should we come back to you?
Flop of the season so far. That's hard, man. I actually don't know.
Wait, I've got one actually. Sorry, can I just take back?
Yeah, go. Pat will come back to you. We let you think.
Yeah, they've only just signed him actually in the summer. Coutinho, he got Gerrard the sack.
No, it was last January. I think it was last January.
Gerrard basically fully put all of his faith into Coutinho, and he did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing for Villa this
Gerrard's
season.
shit, man. It's not Coutinho's fault. That guy can't manage.
Gerrard is a crap manager.
Imagine that, asking your old teammate to come and save you, and he's the one that gets you sacked. Imagine that.
Did he get him sacked? I mean,
he was terrible. He was horrendous. Every game was horrendous.
He's too busy staring at cameras, man.
That guy's got blood on his hands, man. He's been poor.
I think that one's a bit.
Coutinho almost won the league last season.
Nah. This season, bro, have you seen Coutinho this season?
He's been bad. He's been bad in all seriousness. Yes.
Every game, 2 out of 10.
GK, who was yours going out of curiosity? Who are you going for?
There's a few. I mean, I'll be honest. I think I've been more impressed with his Champions League performances, and it's not like he's done nothing. It's not like he's done nothing. But I'm sorry, the amount of smoke that these man brought about Richard Arlington, man. Yeah, like he's better than Jesus just because he gets picked for Brazil and Jesus doesn't. Okay, so Unai Simon's better than David De Gea now. Don't ever say anything to me when Saka benches a load of other English attacking talent, because that's apparently the metric that we use to say a player's better than the other. He's been poor.
He's been good. He's been good when he played. He's been poor.
16 million. He's been £60 million worth of good.
Your Arsenal bias is mad.
I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly. He's been good. He's been good. When he come on against Chelsea, completely changed that game. He's been very good in the Champions League. Yeah, but he's been rotated. He's not coming straight away. So
the way you're acting is Jesus is top scorer in the league. That's how you're acting right now.
When we judge Pepe, or when we judge Sancho, or when we judge Grealish, like I know we shouldn't, but we do look at the price tag sometimes, and it's like that's the level of quality you would come to expect. That would be befitting of such a price tag, yeah. And listen, I don't dispute what you're saying. I'm not saying he's done nothing, and I'm not saying I think he's a bad player, but I do feel that the comparisons to Jesus, like when no one asked, we were just sat here, just chilling. You lot were just like, yeah, he's better than Jesus. We got the real Brazilian. You know, your Brazilian's not even better than our 4th choice striker. Well, who's won that debate? Yeah, so I will go with Richarlison. Yeah. Just for that, yeah. Patrick, you know, George, which man's I'm talking about. Bear review responsible, bro.
That's so weak.
Richarlison's been good when he played, and he's injured
as well. GK, but I agree with GK.
There isn't true. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with one touch. What he said, Lingard come in for big money.
He's done less. He's done that.
So
Yeah,
he's on a massive wage. He still hasn't scored a goal, and you would think he would be a Nottingham Forest's main player, literally starting week in and week out. He's struggling to even get in their team. So yeah, he for me is flop of the season so far. Definitely.
He had a good one-on-one chance against Liverpool as well.
Yeah,
I think that's a good shot. Raiyaan, you got some. I'm still trying to think of some because
in terms of signing, I'd go either Basuma or I'd say Koulibaly hasn't. I think he's underwhelmed a bit as well for me at times. I don't think Koulibaly's been too great for Chelsea, but I'd probably say Basuma overall because I expected a lot more from that signing. In terms of just flop, like not including like signings or anything, probably just my football club as a whole, to be honest. Like, how can you go from almost winning a quad to like probably not even going to get top 4? Like, it's ridiculous. In terms of player, I'd say Trent in it, but like,
yeah. I mean, it had to be for me. It had to be a Liverpool player. I'm not gonna lie.
It has to be in all seriousness. It does.
It's either like you could just take a pick basically any Liverpool player like Fabinho, Trent.
Fabinho's a big one.
Fabinho's gone under the radar now. I think he's actually been
worse. Bro, you can ask flawless this. I was saying all last season.
Bro, Fabinho's been worse than Trent. You know, I know Trent gets a lot of shit, but Fabinho. Woeful. Do you think Klopp will be sacked, Sonny?
No, that's one thing. I'm Klopp out. He won't be sacked. Klopp's not going to get sacked.
He shouldn't get sacked. Just I know you said you're Klopp out, but I didn't even say it.
That's it. I'm Klopp out, but I know he's not going to get. Even if we don't finish top 4, they ain't going to sack him.
Cucurella's a shout. The season is over, so you still have time to do it. There's no way Klopp. All right, I'm just gonna wrap here. I'm gonna say Sterling. Only because I've had him on FPL and he's pissing me off. He's not doing jack shit. What is he doing, man? Bro, the guy is pissing me. I had to sell him, and now I sold him, and he was playing against Man United the game after. I thought, if this mother lover scores today, I'm gonna be fuming about it for time. But yeah, I'm gonna go Sterling. I know he started well at Chelsea. What was that? Sorry.
Chelsea sucked the life out of attacking players.
No, exactly. He started well at Chelsea. To be fair, he was the only one scoring goals, but after that first flurry of goals, he's been absolutely non-existent. A part of that isn't his fault because he's playing left wing back, right wing back, so it is what it is. But listen, we're gonna wrap the video there. We will be back next Monday, possibly Friday, depending on obviously my work situation. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that's tuning in. Please do slap a like, subscribe to the channel. Everyone on the socials are down below in the description, so feel free. Follow everyone basically. But listen, as always, Kish, we'll start with you. Let the people know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, at Kishindu on all socials, Twitter, Instagram, and co. And for daily, weekly content, please like, subscribe, retweet, follow all the man them, and follow Usman Talks United as well.
Yes, I appreciate Pat. Let the people know where they can find you, my brother.
Yeah. Once again, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure, guys, as well. Streaming with all of you lot. So yeah, everyone in the that's watching, if you're watching live or on the reruns, follow everyone. All their handles are there. My name's Patrick Tyrant. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So yeah, once again, thank you for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. GK, where can the people find you, my bro?
Yes, people. Thanks for having me on. Make sure you give Usman a follow and everyone else on the panel. All great people, even though we support rivals. And you can find me on the Armory TV. I've been really up to my eyeballs with work in the evenings as well at the moment. But I'm a co-founding member of the Armory, so you can find me on there. Look that up on YouTube. Check it out. It's all Arsenal-related content. Gunner King 14 is my handle on TikTok and Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram. There'll be a link tree in my bio of any of these accounts with like all of my other socials on there as well.
Yes, happy days. And last but not least, Raiyaan, let the people know, the leader of Klopp Out Brigades, where can they find you, my guy?
Big up for having me on, bro. It's been a great stream. Really enjoyed it. And you can find me at on Twitter at Raiyaan_K1, Instagram Raiyaan_K. And in terms of streams, you can find me on Sarcasm City TV mostly. Ain't been streaming a lot recently because been really busy and stuff. But you can find me mostly there. And also on Shameless SC on Carefree Lewis's channel once a week. Days can change for that. I can't really say it's set day, but yeah, that's where you can find me.
That's all right. Listen, obviously regarding myself, as most of you guys know, I'm working basically most evenings. I'm going to be covering the World Cup in the next couple of days for the cricket. So Basically, that's in Australia. So as you can imagine, I'm up at 4 a.m. every night. So probably not streaming next 3 days, but we'll be back on Friday, hopefully with a preview. If not on the weekend, anyways. Actually, I'm at the West Ham game. I've just forgotten. I'll be at the game, so match day vlog for that one. But anyways, slap a like, subscribe to the channel. Lawless, if you do watch this, West Ham fucking shit. That was the jammiest pen I've ever seen in my life. Absolute bullshit. But anyways, we'll address that very shortly. It's been your boy Osman. Everyone's socials are down below in the description. Make sure you follow.